そうですね。私も実在するかどうかはどっちでもいいです。でも、たとえ実在しなかったとしても、あるべきものだと思います。
And I share the same sentiment as what the priest just said. I don't really know, and I will never know until I die, that whether God is real or not. But to me, through my faith, I want to, and I'm choosing, the key word here is choice. I'm choosing to believe that God is real because he serves me. Welcome back to Discover More. My name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist, and I will be decoding the human condition and relevant psychological concepts from each video that I watch. What does Frieren Beyond Journeys Ends episode 4 reveal about hero's journey, the archetype storytelling type, memory and emotion, legacy and healing, and much more? Let's tune in.
ここは古くからの高校の難所でしてな。
それが足りなくなって放置ってわけか。
以前は透き通るような綺麗な海でした。報酬はこれでいかがでしょうか。
わかった。
I see that Fern is finally taller than Frieren, and it's interesting aside from witnessing Frieren's emotional journey, personal development, and how far she's come since just 30 years ago in episode 1. It's also cool witnessing the collective growth, either literally biological growth, physical growth, but also I think this episode and this show encompasses so many different aspects of growth and different facets throughout her life. So just an interesting note, but yeah, she is finally taller.
その魔導書、偽物ですよね。言われた通り勉強しているね。偉いよ、フェルン。
Making her teacher proud.
どうして引き受けたのですか？ただの善意とは思えません。これは自分のためだ。また長い滞在になりそうですね。
Very desolate area.
いつもありがとうね、フェルンちゃん。
ありがとうございます。
もう3ヶ月になるね。
この時期の海岸は冷えるから気をつけよ。
This is completely random and not related to the show whatsoever. But I live in LA and we don't really have snow in the winter unless you go skiing in Mammoth or Big Bear Mountains. Do you guys feel like not snowing in the winter takes away this feeling of winter wonderland and takes away the Christmas vibe since it was Christmas recently, like a month ago? What do you guys think? Does snow add on to the winter experience? Or would you guys prefer to be live in LA where it's kind of monotone, similar season and not really snowing, which to me kind of retracts and takes away the experience a little bit from the winter, even though I'm originally from the East Coast where it snowed heavily every winter. Just curious, what are your thoughts?
まだ寝てる。こんなに散らかして。昨日片付けたばっかりなのに。
I didn't really talk about this in episode 1, 2, or 3. If you haven't checked it out, check out one of the episodes below. It's interesting that Fern was displayed taking care of Frieren throughout the episodes. Ever since in episode 2, Frieren officially taken Fern under her wings. I say that because you've seen a lot of animations and flashes about how Fern takes care of Frieren, combs her hair, grooms her, helps her wake up in the morning. Sometimes I think I remember a scene where Fern even washed Frieren's face on her behalf because Frieren was half awake. Even here, Fern talks about, I just cleaned this yesterday, but it's messy again. The clinical term is parentification or being parentified. I am someone who was parentified growing up as the oldest child, as the brother, as the son in my single mother household. I was tasked with the expectation and responsibility to raise my little sister because my mom worked a lot and it was a single parent household. And anytime you see someone like children being mature, I think we hear this a lot in our society. Oh, you're so mature for your age. You're so mature. That's actually not a good thing. Children should be children and innocent youth should be protected at all costs because adulthood is long. And there will be endless responsibilities the moment we grow up with college, high school, jobs, career, next aspirations, and dreams and goals. So when you're a kid, you should be a kid and innocent, and you shouldn't be mature. And all these children who grow up or who hurt like myself, I've heard many times, oh, you're so mature for your age, Benoit. You're so mature. Your parents must be so proud of you. That is parentification, where innocence and carefree children, as they should be, grow up with premature expectations and responsibility as necessitated and dictated by life. Poverty, economic struggle, family trauma, unstable family upbringing, all of these circumstances and many more force many of us as children to grow up too fast. Life forces us to grow up faster, and life forces us to be mature because we had to by necessity of circumstances. And that's parentification, and it comes with a lot of trauma, and it actually takes years to unpack and heal through therapy, like myself, because you become too responsible. You become too focused on what you have to do, taking care of your parents, even though parents should be the one taking care of children. Like here, Frieren is pretty much Fern's surrogate parent plus mentor. So it should be Frieren's responsibility to take care of Fern, like combing her hair, helping her get ready and groom her, dress her, and all that. Yet it's been the opposite for whatever unknown reasons. And parentification has its perks because you have to do it. And it does instill this work ethics, responsibility, or sense of responsibility. So it does have its upside. But at large, it is a harm for the children, and it is part of the traumatic experiences for many, because we didn't really get to play. We didn't really get to enjoy the youth as many would. And that's parentification, and I see that with Fern over and over again.
フリーレン様、朝でございます。起きてください。
Exactly what I just said.
海岸の清掃に行きますよ。
I guess even seemingly immortality does not make you a morning person. Or is it the winter effect?
ふと思ったのですが、フリーレン様ってもしかしてすごくだらしがない人なのでしょうか。毎朝
I made this comment in episode 3 about Fern gradually clapping back and dissing Frieren more and more often, which indicates closeness in the relationship, because you can only clap back at your loved ones if there's safety and psychological safety net, and if you feel safe emotionally without any fear of consequences. But it's interesting that even now in the beginning of episode 4, Fern is clapping back at Frieren twice already. That room is so messy. I just cleaned it yesterday. And now, are you actually a sloppy person? It's very benign. But again, this indicates their closeness and how they continue to develop their relationship, and how truly Frieren has taken Fern under her wings as the bishop's dying request.
これ私完全にお母さんですよね。一
Parentification.
人でもできるよ。まあ別に私はもう諦めていますけど。ごめん。
Actually, aside from the winter effect and joking about longevity not making you a morning person, I want to call back to my commentary in episode 1 about temporal perception or perception of time. It could be that for Frieren, waking up early or being a morning person is entirely obsolete and arbitrary. Why? She lives 10, 20,000, however long many years. She's nearly immortal. I'm sure she could die, but time and the pace and the sequence of time is very different for her, which I commented a lot and highlighted in episode 1. So in this case, I think Frieren does not feel the urgency to wake up in the morning because a decade, 10 years is merely a decade. And 50 years is merely a 50 years for Frieren. So what's the point and what is the rush of waking up early? And I kind of want to talk about temporal perception and legacy very briefly here. A lot of us, I think we strive for longevity, and immortality has been this timeless fascination. And you can see it across every culture. Chinese empires and emperors and Chinese dynasties across in South America, even in North America, Europe. Alchemists, right? The invention of alchemy was our obsession with magic. And a lot of our source of our obsession with magic is derived out of our desire to achieve immortality, to live forever. But I remember something that I heard many times before and even now, If we were to live forever, and if we can live 10,000 years, 20,000 years, how many of us will wake up with conviction? How many of us will operate and navigate our life with purpose, the North Star, the divine calling that's larger than we are? Why should we? We could live 10,000 years. I can spend 1,000 years or 100 years or 10 years doing one thing, mastering one skill set. There is no rush. There is no urgency. I can do nothing for 100 years if I want to. And there's no loss because I live 10,000 years old. I could spend 100 years wandering around, just living a wasteful existence, throwing away the gift I was given with this longevity, genetics, or whatever it is, since I don't diagnose elves because they don't exist. But what do you guys think about longevity or even immortality and legacy building? Is there even any need for us to work hard and build a legacy, fulfilling our calling, our destiny that we're born into this world, which is a privilege? Is there even a need to work hard, strive to be better, to create a legacy that we're proud of if we can live forever or live 10,000 years old? I personally don't think so. It takes away all the meaning. Why focus on building a meaningful social network? Why focus on marrying a lifelong partner that challenges us, that makes us better, that makes us want to improve ourselves so we can serve each other better and grow together in life if we can live forever? What's the point of all these meaningful pursuits that we pursue as humans if we can truly take away the limitations of life and aging? I think that takes away the essence and a significant meaning of what we call life if we can truly live forever or live a long time like Frieren in this case. What do you guys think? We'd love to hear your perspective about longevity and legacy and death in comments below.
勇者様ご一行との旅はどうしていたんですか？寝坊はしょっちゅうだったね。怒られたりはしなかったんですか？怒られたよ。一度だけね。
I'm guessing there's going to be a flashback about Himmel, the hero?
あとはハイターがたまに舌打ちしたくらいかな。ごめん。
おい、
気持ちはわかるけどさ。
普通にブチ切れてますよ。
For all my Asian brothers and sisters out there, if your parents or teachers have clicked their tongues, you know you're in deep, deep trouble. You know that glare. Sometimes silence with a quick click of their tongues is probably the scariest thing we can experience as children growing up. Anyone could relate? I definitely could.
でしたら今回はぜひとも日の出を見ていただけると嬉しいです、フリーレン様。
海岸の掃除と新年祭って
とても綺麗なんだってさ。
フリーレン様は見なかったのですか？
私が起きれると思う。
それもそうですね。
I love these random, very joyful, gleeful, cheering, uplifting animation music throughout randomly. Wow, Pink Beach.
水質も問題ありませんね。
助かりました、フリーレン様。もちろん新年祭にも参加されますな。
うん。
歓迎いたしますぞ。
正気ですか？フリーレン様、不可能でございます。
徹夜するから大丈夫だよ。
This might be unrelated, but as we talked about, it could be that Frieren has no sense of urgency because nothing's urgent to her because she lives such a long time and she has endless amount of time on the horizon. It could be that that's her strength or weakness based on your perspective. But I want to get practical here in terms of recognizing our strength and our weaknesses. It's actually more optimal and efficient to double down on our strength through self-awareness rather than trying to improve our weakness and our strength at the same time. You need to delegate and outsource what you're not good at. Like for me, video editing is outsourced to my video editor because for me, the opportunity cost is too big. I have to focus on content, researching the concepts beforehand, doing all the other prep work, networking, business, SEO, marketing, and so on. And that is my strength because I'm the founder of the podcast and this channel. So I need to double down on my strength by refining and deepening my clinical expertise so I can share the most fascinating and relevant psychological concepts and research with everyone. So I delegate my weakness of being not interested in video editing, and the learning curve might take simply too long for me. So it doesn't really make sense for my circumstances, so I delegate out. So in this case, Frieren is very self-aware. So she recognized that she will not be able to wake up early. It is impossible to her based on her habits and pattern and based on what Fern said. So instead, she flips and she goes towards her strength. She creates a system that works for her. By, I can't wake up early? Not a problem. I'll just stay up all night. But she has endless amount of life force, literally, and she lives a very long time. So sacrificing a night of sleep is nothing to her or her well-being because she's an elf and powerful mage. So this is a very simple but practical example of double down on your strength and delegate out your weakness to achieve the most optimal outcome.
正直興味はないよ。だから見て確かめるんだ。
よくわかりません。
そうだね。
This might be an odd conversation back and forth that Frieren says she doesn't care about the sunset, which is why she wants to see the sunset by herself. And I want to call back to episode 1 or 2 when Frieren asked Fern, do you like magic? And Fern said somewhat. And Frieren said, oh, me too. We are the same. I think Frieren is also depressed clinically as a baseline. For her, she's very apathetic or apathy, which is loss of interest. She doesn't have a lot of motivation, which she also referenced in episode 2 and 3. She used to live a very non-caring existence. It didn't really matter to her. She didn't really have any hobbies before Himmel the hero, compliments her tendency to collect the spells. And that's why they became her only hobby. Her only hobby is collecting spells. And that was because of approval and relationship with Himmel the hero. And I think she is depressed because she has nothing to care about. And that's why for her, if she wants to do it and if she cares solely for herself, it doesn't matter to her because she's not doing it for someone else. I don't want to say it's good or bad, going back to intrinsic or extrinsic motivation. But sometimes even with my clients who are severely depressed, who are diagnosed with MDD, major depressive disorder, which is a lot of criterias, sometimes waking up in the morning and leaving their bed for themselves is not enough. That's why they're depressed. That's what depression means. They're depressed. They feel small. What's the point? They feel hopeless. So instead, what I do with some of my clients is, okay, you don't want to leave your bed. You don't want to wake up for yourself because you're losing all hope. There is no point. But sometimes they can conjure up their life, conjure up their courage to leave their bed and to wake up, to brush their teeth for severely depressive patients and clients of mine, for other people, for their wife, for their children, for their parents. So waking up and doing things sometimes when you're depressed for other people is a powerful and helpful motivator. And it sounds like that's what Frieren is doing and saying here, clinically speaking.
なぜ新年祭に来なかったんだフリーレンハイターなんてショックのあまり寝込んでしまったぞかわいそうに
I knew they wouldn't go 5 minutes without at least one flashback memory recall about the hero, right? Because Himmel, he always, every memory callback that Frieren displays in this show so far, in the first 4 episodes, including this one, is often almost always centered around Himmel the hero. My question last, was there romantic interest? No spoilers, but what do you guys think? But even now, again, as expected, memory recall around Himmel the hero comes back here. And this is probably to further substantiate what I just said. That Himmel for Frieren, maybe, presumably for a long, long time, was a single motivator. Because again, going back to my topic of longevity, legacy, and death, why care for anything? Why do anything when you can do everything? And when you feel like you could do everything, you wouldn't do anything. Paralysis by analysis. And it's the same concept why people who live in that city, like in LA, where I'm living now, or Paris in France, the city I was born. That's why my name is French. I lived there for 7 years. I lived in Paris, but I've never been to Eiffel Tower. Why? Because, I could always go there next time. I live here. And we end up never going. And that's the same reason here. And I think that's why this memory recall is substantiating what I just said. I think Frieren is indeed clinically depressed, and she doesn't really have any aspirations of her own. She has no intrinsic motivation to do anything. But again, why do anything when you feel like you could do everything with this incredible long lifespan that you have? But then I think Himmel, the hero, is giving her that inspirations, that motivation to do something with your life. And I think that's what this memory recall is about.
酒の飲みすぎでダウンしているだけだぞ。
みんなは行けたんだからそれでいいじゃん。
君にも楽しんで欲しかったんだよ。
ただの日の出でしょ。楽しめるとは思えない。
My point is just a sunrise, Frieren says. It's just a sunrise. I've experienced, 365 sunrise per year? And she's lived 10,000 however long years old. That is literally countless amount of sunrise and sunset Frieren could experience, even though I'm guessing she slept through most of the sunrise in her life based on how this episode goes. That's why it doesn't really matter to her. That's why ordinary things and even extraordinary things has lost their significance and meaning and power to Frieren. Because it's just another day, just another trifling blip in her existence. Because she has all the time in her world. So again, when you lose that urgency, you lose that meaning. You don't have to do anything because you can always do it tomorrow. Because I could live pretty much forever.
いや、楽しめるね。
どうして？
君はそういうやつだからだ。
寝てる。
She fell asleep.
寝てる。フリーレン様、起きてください。
お母さん。
誰がお母さんですか？
Again, I don't know any encyclopedia knowledge or I have no knowledge bank about the developmental stage for elves because they're fictional characters. I know developmental stage by Eric Erikson for humans really well. And I wonder if Frieren is still considered a child or adolescent or a teenager according to elves' developmental stages. Like, is she an adult in her species of elves or is she not an adult? Because now she's thinking about her mother. She wakes up late. She's always half awake in the morning. She does have a lot of childish or childhood behaviors. And again, temporal perception. Time works differently for elves, in this case for Frieren, as it does for humans. So I wonder what's actually her, not age, but her developmental stage in life according to her species of elves. Anyone, any thoughts? Comment below.
ありがとう。フェルン。気してまで見るものじゃないな。ヒンメルは私のこと分かってないな。
As Frieren is saying that, again, it could be subconscious suppression of her emotions and grief because of Himmel's death and Frieren's ongoing grieving process that I also highlighted in the previous episodes below. It could be partially that, but it could also partially that the sense of awe. When you see something majestic, beautiful, you feel big and small at the same time. That's the phenomenon of awe. And awe has chilling and amazing benefits for mental health. It produces endorphins, feel-good dopamines, and it generally improves your well-being and expands your sense of time. So awe is a very potent and powerful emotion that's very beneficial and serving for humans, just our experiences overall. But in this case, for Frieren, even awe isn't as powerful. Because again, she could live so many times and she's seen so many things in her life. So does the more experience that you have that's awe-inducing, does it decrease the awness of the next event in terms of 10,000-year increments? We will never know because we'll be long dead before that. But I'm curious.
フェルン、帰って二度寝。
フリーレン様、とても綺麗ですね。
そうかな。ただの日の出だよ。
It's just a sunrise. Even though it's just a sunrise indicates that we are alive now. That life is sacred. And no matter the hardships and difficulties and trauma and unexpected unknowns and uncertainties in life, as long as we are in the present of now, that's why present is called the gift that keeps on giving. Present, like the gift. So it's just a sunrise actually indicates profound truth that we are alive breathing in this moment. And for that moment, that's all that matters.
少し楽しそうです。
それはフェルンは笑っていたから。
This is very interesting. So this is like vicarious empathy or vicarious joy. Frieren is saying that I'm only smiling because you're smiling. I'm only enjoying the sunrise a little bit because I see that you're enjoying a little bit. That could be true. Or again, that could be Frieren's subconscious suppression of her joy because of her emotional detachment struggle they've witnessed since episode 1, despite her coming a long, long way, as we've talked about many times throughout the analysis. But here, it's again interesting, and it's another indication of Frieren's suspected clinical depression from my diagnosis. Because again, when you're so clinically depressed, nothing you do sparks joy. That's called apathy. But when you see other people happy, that does give you something to look forward to, and it does rejuvenate you a little bit. And I think this is another indication that either Frieren has seen it all and nothing matters to her anymore besides Himmel's death recently, or she's just so clinically depressed that nothing really excites her and nothing really gives her joy besides taking care of her loved ones, in this case Fern, her mentee. She smiled again.
私一人じゃこの日の出は見れなかったな。
That's another poignant thing that he said, is the idea that meaningful life existence for humans is built on relationship with one another. Like Frieren beautifully said, if I were by myself, I would never have seen the sunrise, aside from the fact that, of course, she wouldn't have woken up for it, yes. But that fact aside, think about all the best memories we have. Just take a pause right now and think about all the best and most cherished, meaningful memories we have, we cherish deeply. When I close my eyes and think about it, all my most meaningful memories in the last 32 years of my life were all in relation with one another. The people that I used to care about or I care about, the people I love, the people I enjoy sharing memories and creating fun memories together with. Human is social animal. We are tribal creatures in a negative way because we are group social animals. But tribalism aside, human species, we are social, emotional animals by design. And we need to be in relationship with one another, continuously so. Especially in 2025, we are in a loneliness epidemic. Loneliness is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, according to the US Surgeon General in 2022. And after COVID and all that, loneliness has gotten much worse. I'm sure everyone watching right now could relate that loneliness epidemic is here and it is here to stay. And we need to combat loneliness by deepening and cultivating deeper relationships with one another. And even this brief 2-sentence back and forth between Fern and Frieren indicates just that. The best memories, like watching the sunset she didn't really care about, is only possible because she was with Fern, her loved ones. So let all of us create more amazing, meaningful, fonding memories with one another, because memories are usually only meaningful and important, and we can only recall these meaningful memories years down the road through a memory recall, only if they were shared with other people often. Why? Because we are social animals, and that is by design.
ご家族ですか。
魔族に襲われてな。何をしている？
祈っています。
人は死んだら
数千年前までは無に帰るって考えが、まあ私も天国には懐疑的だけど、今の人類の魔法技術じゃ
どっちでもいいと思うけどな。
そうですね。私も実在するかどうかはどっちでもいいです。
ソウルがそれ言っていいのか、生臭坊主。
でもたとえ実在しなかったとしてもあるべきものだと思います。必死に生きてきた人の行き着く先が無であっていいはずがありません。だったら天国で贅沢三昧していると思った方がいいじゃないですか。
確かに都合がいい。
I've been a Christian my whole life, and I'm also a deacon in my church where I serve every Sunday. And I share the same sentiment as what the priest just said. I don't really know, and I will never know until I die, that whether God is real or not. Whether you call it the universe, the source, the higher being, whatever language you want to use, for me it's God, because I'm a Christian. I truly believe that deep inside, it doesn't really matter, and I will never know if God is real. But to me, through my faith, I want to, and I'm choosing, the key word here is choice. I'm choosing to believe that God is real because it serves me. It encouraged me to be a better person, be nicer to my neighbor, love thy neighbor, love God. Just be a better person overall, because life is hard. And if I weren't a Christian, I'm not sure if I would be as dedicated to serving, servant leadership, giving back. And of course, many of my atheist friends are amazing, generous, gracious people. And generosity and kindness have nothing to do with religion. But for me, religion is organized practice, and there's a lot of corruption because humans are sinful, per my belief. So religion aside, I agree with the priest or the lay bishop here that for me, believing God is a choice because it's not just convenient, but it serves me. It makes me a better person, which in turn makes me want to be better for other people around me. So it's a positive ripple effect. So I choose to believe God because he serves me really well. And I think it's a better framework to operate life, better than this poor framework that, oh, good or bad. It's more about, no, it's not about good or bad. But it's more about, is it serving you or is it not serving you? "28 years."
アイゼン、遊びに来たよ。
30年ぶりとは思えん態度だな。
たった30年でしょ。
I don't drink, as I said before in the previous episode. I've been sober for 4 years after my military commitment. But for anyone that drinks, I feel like you could literally make a drinking game out of this show. Anytime Frieren says merely 10 years, merely 30 years, merely 80 years, take a shot. You're probably blacked out by episode 2 or 2 episodes. But she says that a lot because to her, it's reflecting of her true perception of time. 30 years is nothing but a few breaths because she lives so long. So temporal perception is definitely a common and recurring theme throughout the episodes in this show. Makes sense.
まさかお前が弟子を取るとはの。
アイゼン、何か手伝ってほしいこととかってある？
ハイターにも同じようなことを聞いたらしいな。お迎えにはまだ早いぞ。
なんで知っているの？
文通をしていたからな。
で、あるの？手伝ってほしいこと。フォル盆地か。
来たことあるのか？
昔ね。
昔って言ったぞ。
原始時代でしょうか。
さすがにそこまで長生きじゃない。
1,000 years? Is a long time for her?
大魔法使いフランメの手記だ。
フランメの著書はほとんどが偽物だよ。
手がかりはある。ハイターが生徒に残されたフランメの記録をまとめ上げて割り出した場所だ。フリーレン、お前なら知っているはずだ。
わかった。まずは大きな木を探そうか。
たくさんあるぞ。まあ、時間なんていくらでもあるのか。
Temporal perception.
でもフェルンが嫌がるから早めに終わらせようか。
なるべく効率的に探しましょう。
That's another hallmark of a healthy mentor-mentee relationship that I've alluded many times, where Fern can not only object what the mentor is asking of her, she can also counter-proposal, saying that, hey, let's search more efficiently as possible, without being disrespectful, without being displeasing. But it's also a quick shout-out and digital flowers to Frieren, because she is such a great mentor so far. She instills what's important, such as magic skills. She trusts her to do her own decision. Like before the bishop's death, she allowed Fern to finish her training so she can put that hole in the rock to become the proper mage by repaying back for the bishop's or the priest's expectations of her. So this is a perfect demonstration of a healthy and honestly amazing mentorship dynamic, where as a mentor, Frieren is allowing Fern to make her interdependent decisions. So interdependence is amazing, not codependence, but interdependence, where they live together, they travel together, they help each other out, but also there is a very healthy amount of independent decision making that Frieren is allowing Fern to do so. That is a great mentor, and Fern has also really blossomed as a great respectful mentee through this dynamic. Even though Fern does clap back quite often, it sounds like.
お前は人の時間を気にするようなやつじゃなかった。
だってフェルン怒ると怖いんだよ。
そうか、気をつ。
Again, I think Frieren is being shy and subconsciously again suppressing some of her emotions here. But as we all have seen, Frieren has indeed come a long way. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway from watching 4 episodes so far is seeing her journey, just like a hero's journey. It's a archetypical storytelling where you as a hero, you leave your village with a mission to conquer the demon king or conquer the bad guy in this plot. And every trope, every American movies is based on hero's journey. There's a protagonist that he or she is a hero, usually a man because of patriarchy. They go on a pursuit of journey. They find their lessons. They equip themselves with a weapon. They grow, they develop, they refine their skill sets. They ultimately defeat the bad person, the antagonist, and they journey backwards, back to the village where they came from, and they share their wisdom and they strengthen the next generation. That is usually the archetypical hero's journey. And that's what Frieren is doing here throughout these episodes. That we as the audience, we get to witness in real time through Frieren's journey, through this epic journey of her adventure, magic, spell collecting, and whatnot, that she is indeed also growing as a person, or as an elf, I guess. She's developing through personal development and emotional development. And that is amazing. We also call that narrative therapy. Viewing our lives through narrations of stories. Because we are the stories we tell about ourselves and others and the world we live in. And it's interesting that the dwarf warrior is able to even witness Frieren's development and change and improvement. She has more humanity compared to 30 years ago. And this improvement is so dramatic that the dwarf warrior noticed it despite being distant for 30 years. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me, is seeing her journey, not just as a hero's journey, this very trope, oh, I'm the main character with a plot armor, I defeat the bad guy and I come back triumphant. That's way too simplistic and superficial and rudimentary. But instead, this is a true journey of life, is self-betterment and getting better as a person, as an elf, more caring for other people, more generous, more conscientious, more considerate. And that's pretty profound to see. This is an amazing show. Always sleeping. Oh, Fern also knows how to fly now. She has developed into a powerful mage.
西の方に遺跡を飲み込んだ大樹がありました。
なんでフランメの式なんか探すことにしたの？
お前とヒンメルがかわいそうだと思ったんだ。お前はヒンメルを知っておけばと口にした。あの言葉はヒンメルに直接伝えてやるべきものだ。死者と対話したという記録が残っているとされている。
それに今さら会いたいとは思っていない。
どんな魔法も初めはおとぎ話だった。
It is interesting that Frieren, the elf mage who defeated the demon king and became the savior of the world, thinks undead and heaven and afterlife is phony, nonsensical. Sister, you're a mage and you're an elf that lives 10,000, 20,000, however many years old. So why can't you fathom like afterlife or conversing with the undead? You're literally an elf mage. There's no sarcasm in this show, as we've learned, but that's pretty powerful. And I like the irony, because irony often speaks volume.
だからハイターと相談した。お前はきっと後悔しているだろうから手助けしたかったんだ。
That is a big tree.
Wow. フリーレン様、大樹も遺跡も強力な結界で守られていて、
1000年も前のことなのに、結局私は先生の手のひらの上か。
Hold up, does that mean the legendary mage is Farian's master and mentor. That's why she knows that most of her writings are fake, because she was mentored by the legendary mage herself. Wow.
頼りない留守番だね。
そうでもねえさ。1000年だろうがこの場所を守り続け。
頃には先生死んでるでしょ。
She was a human.
だがお前は違う。人を知りたいと考える。
I just got goosebumps. The legendary mage is so legendary that she predicted Farian's exact emotional dilemma and struggle and regrets 1,000 years later. Wow.
知ってほしいの先生。かまってちゃん。
ちげえよ。そん時はここに帰ってこいって言ってんだ。手助けしてやる。この大魔法使いフランメ様が。
Damn. Yo, she predicted this. Shout out to Flamma, the legendary mage.
本物なのでしょうか。
本物だよ。
フリーレンはフランメの一番でした。
魔法史に出てくる大昔の英雄ですよね。本当に原始時代から生きているんじゃ。
死者との対話についての記述はあるか。
ご丁寧にそのページが開かれている。ここに来ることが分かっていたのか。相変わらず嫌味なやつだ。
この世界の人々が天国と呼ぶ場所、オレオールにたどり着いた。
Wow.
そこは多くの魂が集まる場所で、この世紀の発見は魂の
研究を飛躍的に進歩させるだろう。
天国はある。その方が都合がいいだろう。
たまには信じてみるか。
具体的にはどのあたりなのでしょうか。
エンデ。
エンデって。
そうだね。魔王城がある場所だ。
Wow, full circle.
なんでそんなところに。
オレオールを探してヒンメルと話すんだ。俺を手伝ってくれるんだろ。
悪知恵をつけたね、アイゼン。
ハイターのおかげだな。
Can't say no to dying wish.
どうせ当てのない旅だ。
This comes back to my question. What is Farian's actual developmental chapter according to the species and the lifespan of elves? Because she does act like a little girl, like a child, often. Yes, she has incredible self-awareness, incredible power, wisdom, life experiences because of her sheer long lifespan. But right here again, is she actually old or young in species of elves? Someone help me out here.
魔王城のあたりってそんなに寒いんですか。
魔王城のあるエンデは大陸の最北端だからな。
They literally called it End.
なあ、セロン。そいつはいい師匠か。
よくわかりません。ただひたすらに魔法を求めて旅をして振り回されてばかりです。ヒンメル様たちを知ろうとすることには興味があるようですが、もしかしたら私にはあまり興味がないのかもしれません。
Just like all children, we don't really appreciate the profound, subtle love of our parents. For those who are fortunate enough to grow up with parents, for me, it was single mother. But we don't really appreciate the love of adulthood and what that caring feels like until we get older, until we step into their perspective through more life, maturity, and experiences. So in this case, that's why Fern is saying that maybe she's not interested in me. But of course, we know that she cares about Fern deeply with everything she's done and even witnessing Farian's personal emotional development. And that speaks volume. She would not be changing herself so much if she didn't care about Fern in many ways.
フリーレン様が私を弟子にしたのはハイター様との約束に過ぎませんから。
そうか。
I want to go back to narrative therapy that I referenced earlier. We are the stories we tell about ourselves and others. That's why the story we tell ourselves has to be carefully deliberated and uplifting. If Fern navigates her life, I don't know how episode 5, 6, 7 and the future episodes unfold, of course not. But if Fern continues to navigate her life believing that Frieren only took her under her wings because of a friend's dying request, think about what a lonely existence that is. Isn't it much better to reframe that story instead of saying that, yes, Miss Frieren took me under for a friend's dying wish, and she cares about me deeply, and we have grown to this fond, cherishable, amazing relationship between myself and Miss Frieren. And it's not just narrative therapy, it's also CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. Our thoughts, cognitions influence our emotions, and our emotions dictate and influence our behaviors. So that's why we have to really think about the thoughts that we put in our heads. And we really have to think about what type of stories are we telling about ourselves. Are they uplifting and are they serving us? Or are they just criticism and negativity?
旅を始めてからは誕生日にプレゼントをくれるようになったんです。
See, she cares.
考えているのでしょうね。とても不思議です。
Words are cheap, but actions and behaviors don't lie.
フリーレン、君はオートには残らないのか？
旅を続けるよ。
一人でか？
気楽でいいでしょ。
弟子を取ったりはしないのか？
時間の無駄だからね。いろいろ教えてもすぐ死んじゃうでしょ。
Poignant example of her growth and her development. She went from 100% emotion avoidant and emotionally detached as part of her survival and defense mechanism to no point, it's just easier for me to be myself and nothing else, no hassle, burden free. But look at her now. Look at how far she's come in 30 years or 80 years, I think the count is. But think about her journey. And that is the same thing for therapy. Life is a journey, and life brings us with so many lessons, but they're only helpful if we're willing to sit down and receive these lessons, actionable, and implement that life in a serving way that benefits us and everyone else around us. And Frieren is demonstrating just that here.
フリーレン、人との関係はそういうものじゃない。
そういうものだよ。みんなとの冒険だって。私の人生の100分の1にも満たない。以前ならわかるでしょ。
俺は。
はいはい、暗い話はなし。
酒を飲む理由が欲しいだけだろう。
お前はいつも飲んでるだろうが。
この生臭坊主。
Humor is a very powerful diffusion strategy in these, I guess, tough and awkward, uncomfortable moments. But I like to encourage us to be willing to have uncomfortable and difficult conversation. Seeking friction and discomfort when it's safe and appropriate only serves us. And I wonder how much insight and how much growth Frieren was able to experience earlier in the timeline if maybe the priest didn't chime in and trying to distract and diffuse and deflect the seriousness of that conversation. I wonder what other lessons and encouragements Himmel the hero could have shared with Frieren at the time. We will never know. But I really think that our ability and capacity to have difficult conversations only helps us therapeutically, clinically, interpersonally, and emotionally, or otherwise.
ヘルン、そいつはいい師匠だ。
She is a great master who sleeps a lot.
アイゼン、本当についてこないの？
俺はもう足手まといだ。
そっか。
I like how the dwarf, the warrior, is saying that he's going to slow them down. But literally earlier, we saw him sprinting on the water like Jesus. What? Only Flash could do that.
長い旅路になる。俺たちは10年かかった。
Oh, damn.
そうか、ヒンメル様たちが魔王城を目指した道のりと同じなんですね。
Grief counseling, retracing the exact same steps of those you want to memorialize. So you can see that her grieving process is ongoing since the death of Himmel.
そうだね。たった10年の冒険だよ。
A mere tenure. Take a shot. All right, that's it for today's episode. If you derived and discover more fascinating psychological concepts that you never thought about, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow so I can share this content through psychological concepts with more people. And share your comments. What did you think about my analysis and my reaction? And what do you want to watch next? Send them. And as always, thank you for tuning in to this week's of Discover More. And until next time.